our next speaker, Alex Landry. He's a student from PhD student from Stanford School of Business, who's been doing some really important work on interventions to reduce dehumanization in the context of political polarization. We're really delighted that he's shared some of this work with us. So we'll go with that now. Thank you.
Dehumanization, the explicit and blatant denial of another's humanity, has figured prominently in our age's darkest atrocities. By disengaging moral restraints on harming fellow human beings, dehumanization may facilitate extreme violence. Far from a dark relic of the past, we found dehumanization is alive and well in many contemporary intergroup conflicts. For instance, immediately before the highly conflictual 2020 presidential election, we asked large samples of Democrats and Republicans to explicitly rate how human they considered members of the other party to be using this scale. A substantial proportion of partisans on both sides rated their opponents as less than fully human. Importantly, partisans' dehumanization of the other side predicted their willingness to subvert American democracy to hurt the other side, through acts like gerrymandering and even engaging in political violence. Now, there's a catch. In this study, we not only asked partisans about their dehumanization of the other party, we also asked them how much they thought members of the other party dehumanized them. We did this because groups in conflict often attribute overly negative attitudes and intentions to the other side. And indeed, we found that although there were troublingly high levels of dehumanization among American political partisans, these partisans nonetheless believed that the other side dehumanized them far more than was actually the case. Now, this is important because when members of a group feel dehumanized by another group, which is called meta-dehumanization, they tend to respond with reciprocal dehumanization of the threatening outgroup. In other words, people's meta-dehumanization can increase their own dehumanization of the outgroup. Thus, we reasoned that correcting partisans' overly negative meta-dehumanization could reduce their own dehumanization of the other party. And because dehumanization can lead to greater hostility, we expected that this correction may also reduce partisan support for anti-democratic hostility against the other side. We tested these predictions in a large nationally representative study. Half of our participants simply reported their dehumanization of the other side and their support for anti-democratic hostility, as in the previous study. The other half of partisans completed these same measures, but first, we briefly informed them of the results of that previous study. Specifically, we told them that Democrats and Republicans both rated the other side as more human than the other side thinks they do. We found that, relative to the no information control condition, this simple intervention decreased partisans' dehumanization and their support for anti-democratic hostility. Moreover, these effects persisted 1 week after the intervention. In effect, correcting American political partisans' overly negative meta-dehumanization durably reduced their own dehumanization and support for anti-democratic hostility. We're now extending this research in an effort to reduce dehumanization across several violent intergroup conflicts, including between Israelis and Palestinians, Russians and Ukrainians, and Hindus and Muslims in India. For more information about this research program, please feel free to contact me. I'd love to talk more.